Yes, hello and welcome back to Film Focus, a weekly independent film review show with me, Fred Black.
Anthony Squire.
And yeah, we're starting off on a relatively strong note. The stronger of the two films this week. Got 2 films and 5 trailers to look at, and to be honest, I'm more excited to talk about the trailers than I am the actual films.
Yeah, me too. But you've got to have your bad weeks.
You do. Unfortunately, I wasn't thinking that this week would be bad. Like,
I knew
at least one of these films, like, I looked at and thought, actually, it looks quite fun. It could be quite exciting film. And they both turned out to be rubbish.
pants.
Pieces of shit.
Yeah.
We'll start with the lesser of the two evils, though, with Runner, which is Justin Timberlake and Ben Affleck in a gambling and betting scandals and all that sort of stuff.
Basically, Justin Timberlake plays a Princeton graduate student.
He got there in the end, folks.
Yeah. Because that's how pants it is.
You can't even say the plot, it's such a shit film.
Basically, he goes to this online gambling site, he gets swindled, he works out he's been swindled, he goes to, is it Costa Rica?
Yeah, he goes to Costa Rica where this guy, Ivan Block, played by Ben Affleck, is running the site from, kind of like living in exile from the American government.
And he gets seduced into working for Ben Affleck. The pace of the film was it just races along, and Ben Affleck still can't act.
Just the main part of the film, pacing shit, Ben Affleck just shit in general. Like, how are we meant to expect him playing Batman? We're finally touching on that subject as well. But yeah, I don't think I was expecting like maybe a lot more kind of action from this film, and there just wasn't any. I don't know how to kind of sum it up. If you've seen like 21, which is a kind of card counting film from a couple of years ago with Kevin Spacey, it's essentially just like that. It all looks very glamorous, it's all very glitzy, but underneath all that, kind of all the looks, you've got Gemma Arterton being very sexy, and just all these lovely ladies walking around glamorous location of Costa Rica, and then the plot is just very basic kind of revenge and gambling stuff.
I mean, Ben Affleck's mood never really changed throughout the entire film. It changed at a couple of points, but even then it was
he went from sly player to a bit pissed off at the whole thing.
Yeah.
Maybe because at times he realised what film he was doing.
I mean, Brad Furman, why did you...
Oh, is that the director?
Yeah.
I didn't even make a note of the director. His film was so bad. I was just like... Literally, the end credits came up and I couldn't get out the cinema fast enough.
If you want to see us... Don't take this film seriously. You cannot take it seriously. The bad acting, the background music, okay.
But it's all kind of like, pop tunes thrown in there for random effect. There's not really a score by like a composer, as it were. There are just like, there's club music thrown in there. There's a bit with Deadmau5, who's a big kind of DJ. He's got the big guy with the huge helmet thing. Yeah, he makes a cameo in it, and it's just. It's ridiculous. It's a ridiculous film.
It just races along. I gave it 4 out of 10.
Yeah. Bizarrely enough, like we've given both films the same score this week, which kind of indicates how bad they are. And I gave this a 4 out of 10 as well. I mean, it wasn't bad enough to be put on the bad film list.
It was funny in some parts when you looked at the acting, the way it just jumps. And like, shall we do this? I don't know. Okay, let's do it.
Yeah. I love the fact you've all given them like distinctly British accents there. But yeah, like the whole kind of inconsistencies with the plot, like, Justin Timberlake somehow losing all his money in online poker games.
Like I said earlier, although he loses all of his money, he can still afford a flight to Costa Rica, he can still afford a hotel room.
He can still afford, like, food, and he says at the start of the film, like, I have $60,000 worth of tuition due next week, and that's if I don't eat. Yet he manages to lose, like, most of his money in an online poker game, go to Costa Rica and buy a hotel room, or rent a hotel room, and then, eat at the same time. I was like, how much money do grad students in America have? Because it sounds like an awful lot.
Well, this is Justin Timberlake. His character obviously went off and did some songs or something. And went back to
before I went after the poker site, I recorded a couple of albums, and they did all right for me, really.
I can imagine in the uncut version when it comes out on DVD, I'll have something like that.
He records like the 2020 experience. He records Justified and makes his big musical debut as like, oh well, that kind of worked out, but no, I'll go after this guy instead. Ben Affleck, come here.
I mean, Ben Affleck, yeah.
Yeah, well, I thought he was the best thing in it. I'll be perfectly honest.
I admit he looked the part, but he couldn't act the part.
At times he couldn't. No, I mean there were times when he was trying to be kind of a bit sinister.
Yeah. But instead he was just
he does kind of go a bit comical with it. It doesn't quite suit the scenario. But then again, it's better than Justin Timberlake's just kind of blank expression throughout the entire film. He doesn't really kind of... Even when he's like being kidnapped and interrogated by like crooked FBI cops and stuff like that, it's just like he kind of has this like look of kind of mild confusion, and that's about it. Not like, oh, I've just been punched in the stomach. Oh, that hurts.
Kidnapped, or the trauma it would give you. It's just where am I?
Oh, hey, this is new. I haven't seen this part of Costa Rica yet. Nice holiday I'm having here. Oh, you put a bag over my head. How unfortunate.
Once this is all over, maybe I'll shoot my next album.
I'll shoot my new music video. I'll rent a yacht with my graduate money. Honestly, like, we were all joking about this film, but it was terrible. And I don't think I could watch this film again. And if so, no. I'd have to, like, rip the shit out of it like we're doing now.
I couldn't watch this again unless I really had to, but I won't have to.
Yeah, we'll never have to again, and for that we can be eternally grateful. But yeah, prisoners, no, not prisoners, Runner, 4 out of 10 for both of us. It was just god awful. Anyway, let's actually move on to the trailers.
The first one, Hellbenders.
Yes, you want to take on Hellbenders first?
Horror comedy. Basically, someone inherits a demon.
Yeah, it's this weird thing where there's this group of kind of priests, but they're all really kind of really
dodgy.
Bad priests. They're kind of drinking all the time. All sinners. But for some reason, they are exorcists as well, and they take demons back to hell through any means less necessary. They kind of hint at something where you can die and literally drag the demon back with you into hell, and then somehow they can get out of hell. Or I don't know if that's the ultimate sacrifice thing. But yeah, it was a very kind of schlocky B-movie kind of thing.
Yeah, it's going to be hit or miss.
I think it's probably going to be miss for me, because it just looked so kind
of... If they do it so bad, it's good.
Yeah, there are those sort of, like kind of big-ass spider kind of way, like, they do a spoof kind of thing. I can guess that would be quite fun, but... It kind of looked like it was trying to take itself just a tiny bit too seriously.
No, it didn't.
Well, I don't know.
The OTT, I mean, I know trailers can be misleading. I hope this one isn't misleading.
Me neither, but yeah, Hellbenders, like, I guess it looked alright. I wasn't too... It didn't really have anyone of name in it, like, it was, It
sometimes an unknown cast.
Sometimes an unknown cast is a good thing, but
like I said, hit or miss.
The next one.
Wait and see on this one.
The next one, though. Fucking hell. Jackie Chan's back, bitches. CZ12.
This trailer looked great. Jackie Chan basically running around doing the usual.
Oh, the usual. Like, I mean, this guy's like 60 or 70 years. He's so fucking old now, but like, it's essentially him, like some kind of Ong Bak scenario where he's running after some lost heads, some kind of spiritual heads for statues. And
there's a 12 one, aren't there? Beginning of it.
Yeah, there's so he's running around looking for these statue heads, and obviously stirring up some trouble as he goes and having some fight scenes and like
some of these fight scenes are great.
This one guy's like, I can kick your ass without leaving this sofa, and Jackie Chan's just like, show me. As you would be being Jackie Chan, you'd be like, yeah, fuck off, I can beat you here.
Nah, this looks good. I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a while since I've seen a good Jackie Chan film. I mean, he had all these like Americanized things with like The Accidental Spy and The Spy Next Door. I think The Accidental Spy was one of them. But they were just so reliant on wire work because they didn't believe. I don't think the directors
didn't think he could do it.
It was either that or they just weren't willing to risk it, or because there's a horrible one. I watched The Spy Next Door, and there's a horrible fight scene where he has
looking to the strings like this thing, right?
Essentially, he has a BMX bike, or there's a BMX bike involved somehow, and there's this bit where he doesn't even like do the jumping motion. He literally just kind of floats over it.
Sounds like a B movie.
It was so terrible, and especially for someone like Jackie Chan, where he can do that sort of stuff. He is a very physically
able,
agile man, and he can still. I mean, even the Rush Hour films, where he's getting on a bit,
they were good. Well, right, number 3 was all right, but it was okay.
Yeah, but they can still showcase that he can do some pretty weird stunts, and I mean, his early stuff is still the best, obviously. Stuff like Police Story and Project A and stuff like that. Brilliant films. But CZ12, I'm definitely looking forward to this. I think we definitely need to check this out, and I hope it gets a big cinema release over here.
It should do. Well, I think it will. If they show me a trailer, I say that, but...
Yeah, but the amount of trailers we've seen on there for, B-movies and documentaries and stuff like that, I mean...
We were lucky this week, there's only a couple of documentaries.
There's only 2 documentaries, and we're not going to look at any of them. The next film you want to look at is...
Vikingdom.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
This looked great. It was...
Vikingdom with Dominic Purcell. It started out as some sort of straight-laced kind of drama action with some, Vikings and, clan
the
wars
God
and
of
stuff.
Thunder.
Yeah, and then for some reason, the God of Thunder Thor appears with brilliantly, neon red beard. It's kind of Chinese
it must have been the makeup person's last day or something.
Yeah.
Where it's do this.
It looked like some sort of Ming Dynasty beard, Ming the Merciless from Flash Gordon or something like that, but coloured neon red. You look at it and go, that's not funny. Well, it is funny, but it's not meant to be.
There are so many slow motion bits in the trailer and just dramatic overdose of dramatic effects. This is going to be so over the top.
And then there's there's monsters appearing. There's a bit with a monster crashing into a cave, and there's he's being dragged through hell, or he's in an underwater section or something like that. It looks like you're playing some sort of fucking action game, or some the latest God of War game or something like that.
I really hope the acting is so bad it's good.
Oh come on, it's got Dominic Purcell in it. I mean, this guy was in Prison Break. That was a shit show. So it's gotta be bad. It's gonna be bad.
Well, sometimes acting can be so bad it's just bad, like the next film. But
hey, don't. Oh, the next film. I thought you meant the trailer. I was right. Okay,
no.
The next film. Yeah.
Oh, please, the next trailer.
Is it Banshee Chapter?
Conspiracy, some dodgy experiments. Clinton even makes a cameo.
Well, no, that's just archive footage. We are purely speculating that Bill Clinton will be in this film. But yeah, Banshee Chapter was it's another... I picked this one because I like handheld horror films. I'm very big onto those. And this one's about a series of mind control experiments in the 60s or the 90s.
Yeah, it's just where you'd see them have a glass of the whatever it was, whatever chemicals they've been mixing together, and then suddenly, a few seconds later, the chair they're in would flip back and they'd be going, ah!
Where they'd be hallucinating people at the door, or are they hallucinating them? I don't know. But yeah, it's and then it's one reporter tries to uncover the truth.
Oh, it's always one reporter was ambitious enough.
Well, it's the way. It's always the way they get with the handheld horror films, is that they find a reporter who will be able to, so they can get the handheld thing, because they'll be running around with a camcorder or a news camera or something like that. But yeah, I will most likely watch this film. I don't know if you will, but I'm a big fan of the handheld horror films, so I'm definitely going to check this out.
I'll probably watch it.
It looks one of the more a bit more high budget things. I mean, not that Skinwalker Ranch we looked at last week.
Oh, yeah. To be honest, I think the Skinwalker Ranch trailer looked better. But
it's a bit more flashy with its effects, I think.
Yeah, but trouble is, would it be too flashy?
Yeah. Banshee Chapter looked a bit more solid with its effect. They had to be there on screen. It wasn't just distortion in the distance or something like that. But yeah, I like this film. And the final trailer we're going to look at.
Ramleela.
The final trailer is Ramleela.
It looks like a Bollywood film.
It is a Bollywood film. It is a Bollywood film. You watch the trailer, it's so obviously Bollywood.
Bollywood films are great because you can have two people talking and suddenly out of nowhere, 50 or 60 people would be dancing away. I mean, I remember when I saw Doom 2, that was a Bollywood film that got released in 2006.
Which, by the way, is not the sequel to, like, the video game adaptation.
No, it's DHOOM.
Yeah.
And that was just so over the top. Why no one can die in a Bollywood film.
It's always good. No one
The
likes
hair
that.
is always spot on, no matter what happens to him.
I know this guy's hair in the trailer. It looked like he was getting a bit out of shape. I'm sure he fixes it rather quickly, but he was underwater a few times.
No, because he had the breeze going through the hair.
Yeah. Well, you got to have a breeze going through your hair. Yeah, but this film looked particularly stupid.
This looks great, to be honest. I'm looking forward to this one. I will see it when it comes out.
I love that you're making I'm going to see the handheld horror film, and you're like, Bollywood, yay!
Bollywood's good.
To be honest, I've only seen like 1 or 2 Bollywood films, and like, I can only stand so much of a 3-hour film of song and dance.
They're fun, and
is it true that there's no Bollywood film that lasts less than 2 hours or something?
I'd have to double check that, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Yeah, because like both the films I watched were like 3.5 hours long. I was just like, really? Oh my god! I was like, they don't need to be. Do they need to be this long?
Speaking of long films, this takes us on to the next film.
Oh yeah, God. Unfortunately, we went through those like rather quickly, and I really wish we did, because we have to talk about Prisoners now.
Prisoners. It was trying to be horror, thriller. I didn't have any sympathy for the parents by the end of the film.
Essentially, the plot of the film is Hugh Jackman and his wife and what's his name? What the hell's the guy?
Terrence Howard.
Terrence Howard and his wife. They're having Thanksgiving dinner, and then their young daughters get kidnapped.
That's another thing. They're having Thanksgiving dinner. Basically, the opening scene of the film, you see this deer in the background, and then you see Hugh Jackman's character just pull out a sniper rifle, shoot the deer. Then they're driving back, and it's only a couple of minutes later you suddenly realise what they're eating at the Thanksgiving meal is the deer they shot.
Well, no, that's...
And just think, you bastards.
You bastard. Well, aside from that, their 2 daughters get kidnapped, and essentially it turns into this whole kind of police investigation, this kind of manhunt where they think they've got the guy who did it, and they don't know, and it divulges into some sort of...
It tries to be Saw, basically.
Yeah, it divulges into some sort of weird torture thing.
It depressed me, this film. I had no sympathy for Hugh Jackman's character.
I wasn't so much depressed.
He was a real bastard, I've got to say.
Well, yeah, the thing is, they really pushed in the first, like, kind of 10 minutes of the film. And this is the thing, like, the pacing was so uneven in this film. For 2 hours and 20 minutes this film lasts.
The pace is basically...
Yeah, it just drags it out. And, like, the first 10 minutes, they really push this religious element. Like, Hugh Jackman opens the film with this huge Bible quote, this huge religious quote, before they shoot the deer, ironically. And then, like, 10 minutes in, the religious aspect just goes out the window, because he turns into this kind of psychotic, alcoholic person hell-bent on getting his daughter back, which I kind of get. Like, you'd be kind of hell-bent on getting your daughter back and, making sure she's still alive, but...
Yeah, but there was no evidence.
Yeah, it's all based on kind of thing, and it's all based on kind of, hearsay and, all suspicions and stuff. But the way they just went about it was dragging out these torture scenes and just extended periods of Hugh Jackman shouting in a Wolverine type voice.
I admit, to begin with, part of me wanted him to go ka-ching, ka-ching.
Yeah. Tell me where she is.
But to be honest,
and then you got Jake Gyllenhaal kind of being incredibly ineffective as this cop.
Yeah, that sort of gormless smart grin. It was not really a grin. A smile, sort of grin on his face. Like, okay.
But I watched this. I was like, I know I wanted to leave the cinema after Runner Runner. I was really tempted to leave the cinema halfway through Runner Runner, but good God, about half an hour into this film, I was ready to quit. I was like, it's one of those whodunit films where you really don't fucking care who done it. And the thing is, we looked on IMDb. You were researching this film before I came over. 8.2 out of 10.
Was it 17,000 views?
Yeah, 19,000 users. What the hell is wrong with you people? This film was
Didn't you
so
get
unbelievably dull. Like,
it drags on.
yeah, like for a 2.5 hour film,
And
I
that
expected
poor
more
guy
to be
who
in
gets
it.
tortured.
Yeah, it's Paul Dano, isn't it? It's Paul
Yeah.
Dano,
That poor guy.
who's been in quite a lot of... He's the guy of Little Miss Sunshine. He plays...
Oh, yes, isn't it?
Yeah, he's in Little Miss Sunshine. He's a good actor, but he essentially gets fuck all to do here. It's except getting the shit kicked out of him. That's all he does.
Horrible scenes.
Yeah, and there are
Horrible.
some horrible scenes where he gets, like Hugh Jackman threatening him with a hammer, and
Hot water.
the hot and cold water thing. That's just like you're looking at going, okay, I don't care about this. Like, shouldn't we be focusing on like a police investigation where there's, even though Jake Gyllenhaal was kind of just like coasting through that role, there was stuff happening.
Yeah, there were some stupid bits in it where he overplayed the I'm a pissed off police officer. He just walks out the office. He walks into the main office, picks up a keyboard, smashes it, and then does a. And you just think,
what? Then gets up and walks out.
you just think,
I just really hate this keyboard.
you just think to yourself, you dickhead, you stupid dickhead. How did you get to play this?
Yeah, you've got just so many like weird things going on in this film. I don't understand how this film is getting so much kind of critical praise. I mean, Metacritic gave it like 74 out of 100.
74.
IMDb is like 8.2 out of 10. And we're going to give it 3 out of 10.
Yeah.
Which makes it onto our worst films of the year list, like the potential worst films of the year.
There were a couple of scenes in it which were suspenseful, but when you look at the overall film, it's just not worth it.
Like, if I was, I sitting in a darkened room for 2.5 hours, you got to do something pretty special to stop me from falling asleep. And most of the time, I was trying to keep myself awake. I was like filling myself with sugar and like chocolates. I was just going, I need chocolate, otherwise I will fall asleep.
I mean, Hugh Jackman, can't you do any other kind of character?
No, he can do Wolverine or toned down Wolverine.
Well, Wolverine wouldn't have done that.
No, Wolverine would have just killed the guy.
Yeah, Wolverine would have just gone ka-ching.
Yeah. Yeah, Wolverine just, fuck you, and he would have drunk like a fifth of scotch. And
I mean, the writers of this film, what were you thinking? There's just you don't have any sympathy for the parents by the end of the film. And it's just like, what were you...
Like, don't they bring like Terrence Howard's wife into it at one point, don't they?
Yeah.
They bring his wife into it,
And you think she's
and
gonna
eventually
say,
Hugh
"No,
Jackman,
stop."
and eventually Hugh Jackman's wife gets involved as well.
Yeah.
Because they try to keep the fact that they're torturing Paul Dano a secret. I mean, I know we're kind of spoiling a lot of this film for you, but it's a 2.5 hour film. You're going to be bored by the time you get to these points we're talking about.
I don't want you to waste your money going to see this.
It's like, what is it, like £8, £9 to see a film nowadays in the cinema? Like, go out and have a few beers or something like that instead.
Yeah, or see something else. Just
you and your mates go and have like buy a round of beers for you all and watch, like Pacific Rim. Pacific Rim is coming out very soon. Go and watch that instead, like a good action film or something. Don't waste your time.
White House Down is still on at the cinema.
White House Down is still on at the cinema. Actually, did we see that on the... Because we just looked at the Cineworld listings and...
It'll be on somewhere. I'm sure it's still
to
on
figure out what
DVD.
we were watching next week, which I'm very excited about what we're watching next week. But yeah, hopefully we will have a much better show for you next week with
Is it Dennis Villeneuve? Villeneuve?
Dennis, who the fuck cares, directed this piece of shit film.
Dennis, please. Next time, get it right. Get some good writers in. Think about what you're doing.
And it's even more tragic is like that Hugh Jackman can act when he's called for it. I mean, I know we've only seen him do Wolverine pretty much. But he can do some decent acting. Jake Gyllenhaal do some decent acting. Like Zodiac was really good. Donnie Darko, for fuck's sake. Donnie Darko was an amazing film.
Yeah.
And he's amazing in it. But here, he just looks bored out of his mind. As was I.
They must have been paying him a lot of money.
It's like, yeah, they must have been paying him a ton of money. And to be honest, he could have cut like half
Driving around in cars, he's posing to the camera.
Like these random shots where he's like Jake Gyllenhaal's just driving from one situation to another, and it's all kind of airy music in the background. It's like, no, all you need to have him is like, or either leaving from that spot or pulling up to that spot, and that's it. You don't need the whole car journey there across this, across the state. You don't need that. It's just ridiculous. And
Moving on to next week's show.
Oh yeah, let's talk about next week's show. We're going to do another triple. Are we going to do another triple bill?
Yes.
Yes, we're going to do another triple bill because we finally got our hands on a copy of Curse of Chucky.
And it looks like it's gone back to old school Chucky in terms of it's actually going to be horror.
Yeah, it's actually going to be straight up. We talked about the trailer like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago,
4 weeks ago.
And it came on Empire. And holy shit, if it wasn't scary as hell.
Mentioned it's going to be pretty.
I was kind of freaking out in my seat here while we watched it, and
because I'm not sure if it's going to be a prequel to Bride of Chucky, or if it's going to be a prequel to Chucky Child's Play 3.
Yeah, well, the thing is, like, from what I've been reading, and I've tried to steer away from like major plot points and stuff like that, because I've seen. I mean, you showed me Child's Play 2, and I've seen Bride and Seed of Chucky. But I'm not a die-hard Chucky fan. He's quite funny, but I never really understood the big horror roots of it all, I guess.
The best, if it was going to be a sequel to one of the earlier Child's Play films, I think Child's Play 2 would be the best one. It's got the most probable one where he could get sent off to somewhere else.
Yeah, well, we'll see what he does with it, but... From what I understand, it's a completely different family. Like Andy is not. Is it Andy the kid?
Andy's not in it.
Andy's not involved. I mean, he wasn't in like Bride and Seed of Chucky anyway, so that's kind of taking it. But from what I'm reading about it on IMDb forums and stuff like that, it's more of a I think it's a prequel to the Child's Play films. That's the general idea I get from it.
It couldn't be a prequel to the first one.
Apparently they kind of explain how he sets it up a bit more.
The character of Andy, he's also, grown up, he's a mid-teenager, so you couldn't really have Andy again.
Well, no, and apparently Andy isn't in this film either. He's not in Curse of Chucky. But that's what I'm reading. It might be completely different. People might just be trying to bullshit us and steer us in the wrong direction.
That's right. I like this.
Fuck you, internet. But yeah, we got Curse of Chucky. We got our hands on a copy of Curse of Chucky, so we're going to watch that next week, along with the two new cinema. Filth. Really fucking excited for Filth. I loved Train Spotting. I only got round to watching Train Spotting a few years ago, and oh my god, was it like a complete head fuck.
I preferred Shallow Grave, but
yeah, I guess
because Train Spotting's weird. Shallow Grave, the film, was made before Train Spotting, but book-wise, it's actually the sequel to Train Spotting.
Yeah. The thing is, though, if you're like, I did not know the kind of marketing campaign for Train Spotting is all kind of this whole kind of cheeky chappy, kind of chavvy, London boy-esque.
Well, it's tied to railway lines.
Yeah, and there's all this sort of thing. Like it looked like a kind of more happy-go-lucky kind of film. With some dodgy characters in it, obviously, but then the film itself threw me for a complete loop, and I was not expecting the whole kind of heroin thing and the kind of addiction.
Oh, what, when he sees the baby?
There's the baby on the sea. That I was not expecting that, and it could, like, where he dives into the fucking toilet, literally this sort of stuff for me was just like, what the fuck is going on? And I felt like I was some sort of heroin come down. I was like, what the fuck is this shit? So that's why I'm really excited for Filth, because now I know what to expect from kind of Irving Welsh, kind of, that sort of thing. It looks darkly funny and really, really good.
Funny. I mean, I'm going to see it later.
You're going to see it later today, and I'm going to watch it after work one day. And the other film we're watching, which we're kind of excited about, but not that much, is
How I Live Now.
Yeah, How I Live Now, with Saoirse. I can never pronounce her fucking name. It's Saoirse Ronan, or it's spelled Saiorse or something like that.
We'll know in time for next week's show.
We'll know in time for next week's show. But no, the thing is, I kept having trouble, so I looked it up a few weeks ago, and it's got on IMDb, and it's got how to pronounce her name on it, and I've fucking forgotten already. But it's essentially we've seen the trailers in the cinema quite a few times. It's this kind of family
gets
away, and
apocalypse happens or something.
Yeah, and the apocalypse is kind of downplayed a little bit in the beginning, but this kind of teen retreat, and this Ronan falls in. I'm just going to say her surname now. She falls in love with this this guy, and then a nuclear war essentially starts. And this
it's not going to be Terminator, but
no, it's not that sort of nuclear war. But yeah, it's one of those films. It does look a bit hit and miss for me. Like you keep saying, most of these films are a bit hit and miss. But Out of all the films we're seeing this week, I'm least excited about this one, I guess. I mean, I'm excited for a good bit of horror with Curse of Chucky.
Yeah.
Filth is just going to be... I'm so hoping it's going to be really funny and stupid.
Don't overhype it.
Well, yeah, the thing is I did that with Riddick, and then I ended up a little bit disappointed.
Exactly.
Riddick, yeah.
See.
And How I Live Now is kind of just a bit... It's just the kind of filler in between.
How I Live Now, I'm curious about this one. Again, it's a wait and see. And I think that brings us to the end of the show.
We'll take that, throw that away, and we'll see you next week for...
Thanks for watching.
Our triple bill, yeah. See you
Take
later,
care.
guys. Have fun.